So I've made a few posts here recently using my Grasshopper AERA VATOR. I'm going to go through the differences, pros and cons between the Ventrac AERA VATOR and the Grasshopper AERA VATOR. And we're going to talk about the difference between a core aerator and a aeravator. Core aerator, aeration, or aeravator. I'm going to spell them out on the screen so you'll know the difference. So first things first, this is a GCI Turf Spot Buddy. We manufacture those here and sell them at GCITurfAcademy.com. That is a spot sprayer that mounts on a ROP system. We've got them mounted on Ventracs. The other Ventrac in the shop's got one, and then got them on a Grasshopper. Anything with a ROP, so the basic 2x2 square tubing ROP system, ROPS, rollover protection system, it'll mount to it, and we got options where it's battery powered or whether it mounts to the battery on the machine itself. But the reason I say that is that's not part of the unit. So in case somebody asks the question, what's that big white thing on the side? It's a sprayer. So you can spot spray weeds or spray whatever the heck you want to spray with it. So this is a core aeration tine. Okay, let's look at the difference between this and the tine on the aeravator. Okay, notice this, that's solid. And see how this has got the groove cut in it right here. It's got a hole in it right there. See my thumb down in that hole right there? Two totally and completely different things. This is a core tine. This is a solid tine. So what a core tine does, or core aerator does, is it goes down in the ground. Oh, I'm not going to be able to do this. That ground's hard. Of course, it doesn't jiggle back and forth. I'm having to do that because I'm doing this with my hand. And you see how it pulls out that core right there? See this little core inside? That's what a core aerator does. Now, this is not clay, so that's kind of got some sand mixed in it. So that's not going to be a perfectly good core. Typically, if you use this in like a clay yard and the ground is, damp, moist, even wet, you can get up to a 4-inch core. So you're talking about a core that long right there. Now, typically you will find the core aeration type machines like this Stinger right here. You can see the little coring tines sticking down. This is a 36-inch model. So the head unit up under there is 36 inches wide. Why do I have the Stinger? Well, because I think the Stinger is the fastest, best, most productive on the market today. There's nothing anywhere close to it, hands down. You can agree or disagree with that, but that's why we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 over there in the other shop. We have 6 of them that we run. I'm a big believer in the Stinger. You'll also find core aeration type devices, walk behind. They make you might hear me call it a plugger too. They make walk behind pluggers. They make 3-point pluggers that go on the back of a tractor, drum type pluggers that you can pull around with a 4-wheeler. They make all different kinds of pluggers, but the thing I want to drive home is core aeration is one thing and aeravation is another thing. All right, so let's compare core aeration to aeravation. All right, you have the platform of the Grasshopper. We'll go over that in detail in a second. You have the platform of a Ventrac. We'll go over that in a second. And then you have the platform of a 3-point option that goes behind a tractor. This one is made by First Products, okay? Remember, First Products is a brand, a manufacturer. Ventrac is a brand manufacturer. Grasshopper is a brand manufacturer, like Coke, Pepsi, that kind of thing. They both manufacture a drink, but Coke is one manufacturer, Pepsi is a different one. Well, just so happens then, I think I'm right on this, I'm not 100% sure, but the aeravator, that portion of it, this part of the contraption was developed and created by First Products. Grasshopper buys this head unit from First Products. Ventrac buys this head unit from First Products, and then they adapt it to their machine. Do not hold me accountable for those words, because I think that is correct. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that is correct. But you can see right here, there's the head unit right up under the tractor, hooks to the PTO of the tractor, hooks to the 3-point. The tractor goes that way, and the aeravator is drugged behind the tractor and following it wherever it goes. This particular unit actually has the seed box on it. I do use the seed box from time to time. Mainly it's on here for weight. So now you pretty much know the difference between a core aerator and an aeravator, okay? There is a very distinct difference in the time and the way the machine operates. The core aerator is typically going to be on a drum where it rolls, and every time that little core aeration tine goes in the ground, and it picks up that core, and it comes all the way back around and hits the ground again, goes in the ground. It's the core it's picking up, it spits out the previous core. Okay, it ejects it through that slot. But you remember the little slot that was in that core aeration tine, and it just spits it out. And so when you go over the whole yard, you get all these little dog turd looking things all over the yard, everywhere. I personally, on fescue, unless it's a shortcut turf like Bermuda, I may consider getting them up and removing the cores. But if you're in a thick 3.5, 4 inch stand of fescue and you're core aerating, I don't even consider removing the cores, because once the homeowner mows the grass and the lawnmower blades hit the cores and bust them up, and they're watering and it rains, that little core of dirt's just going to melt and go right back in the ground where it belongs. Now the aeravator works a little bit differently, okay? I don't have an internal picture of this. You can probably find it on Google, how that thing's designed. But as this head unit is rolling, you have to imagine this rolling forward, it jiggles left and right, left and right, left and right. So it's rolling around and going left and right at the same time. And it's doing it at a pretty high rate of speed because it's hooked to a PTO, okay? What that does is this tine will penetrate the ground, and it jiggles back and forth like that, all in one motion, breaking up and fracturing the ground. In a minute, we'll talk about a few different circumstances of when I would use this aeravator versus core aeration. But I just want you to understand, this thing doesn't act like a core aerator, okay? It's not even remotely close. It vibrates and shakes back and forth violently and busts up the ground. For the most part, for general conversation, the drier and harder the ground is, the better this works. And that is completely opposite of a core aerator, which you kind of need the ground to be moist or soft, or even to the point of being a little bit wet. You get in rock hard ground with a core aerator, you have to go over the area multiple times to break it up and bust it up. Whereas with an aeravator, typically you can go over it once, back drag the area, and it's turned into powder. And the seed bed's absolutely amazing. Now, while we're on the talk of a platform, this is an aggravator. Aggravator. It's a trade name First Products come up with. They make this thing. And it's a trade name for the big brother to the aeravator. You've seen me use this on some ball fields and things like that. The difference is the head unit is considerably bigger, the tines are considerably longer, and it just does a crazy good job. The harder the ground, the better. It does not matter. This thing goes almost, was it about 6 inches deep right there? Look at that. And it just absolutely pulverizes rock hard clay. Would I put this thing in a yard? Absolutely not. It's too big. This is more for football fields and larger areas that maybe I just want to break the ground up really, really good. This is the ticket. Okay, so hopefully that is just rock solid clear on the difference between a core aerator and an aeravator. You know what? My eras are getting hopefully that is rock solid clear, the difference between core aeration that removes the core of earth from the ground and an aeravator which fractures the ground. Okay, so now that's out of the way, let's go over a few circumstances on when I would pick the aeravator over the core aerator or the core aerator over the aeravator. Okay, a lot of era going on, so I'm gonna try to say that slow so you can understand my redneck talk. Now, I'm not gonna take the time to overlay pictures of this stuff in the video. You're just going to look at my mug while I'm talking about this. God gave you a fantastic imagination. Use it when I'm talking about this. So to start, my guys, my crew, my seeding crews go out with a Grasshopper AERA VATOR, a Stinger core aerator, plugger. I tell you what, to keep it separated good, the rest of the video, let's call it plugger versus aeravator. That way that it's pretty distinct, you know what I'm talking about. My seeding crews go out with an aeravator, a Stinger plugger, and of course they got that spreader. We're using turf wares right now. That way, when we roll up to an account at a property, we have the option of aeravation, plugging it, either one, doesn't matter. Some yards we get in, we need to do both, okay? And we're gonna go over a few circumstances on which one we personally use. My seeding crew, which is me, myself, and I go out, I either take the Ventrac aeravator or the Grasshopper aerator. It's ultra rare for me to take a plugger simply because I typically do the harder yards to manage or the harder yards to seed, meaning really steep slopes, yards with lots of trees where the turf kind of really thins out, where it's I know for a fact it's going to be aeravator work. That's why I personally take one of these two machines. So a few little hypothetical situations here. Let's say one of my crews rolls up to a yard. It's 100% fescue. Matter of fact, we're going to talk about nothing but tall fescue because that's the only type of grass we have here in North Carolina that you would routinely overseed in the fall. People don't grow rye here, and they don't grow bluegrass. It's either Bermuda or it's fescue. One of the two. We manage both turf types here, but it's all going to be fescue talk right here. So we roll up to a yard. It's irrigated. It's a really nice plush fescue yard. It looks pretty dang good. Might be a touch stressed out a little bit from the summer or whatever, but overall it's a great looking yard, and they want a basic aeration and overseeding, okay? Irrigated, the ground's moist, where we can pull anywhere from a 2 to 4 inch plug out with ease. We're gonna 100% of the time take that Stinger plugger and run with it. And fortunately, that Stinger plugger's got the seed box on it, so we're going to drop the grass seed as we're going, okay? Efficiency. And my definition of efficiency is do the job as fast as you physically and mechanically can do it with the machine you have, while not sacrificing quality. Period. No exceptions. If the quality is sacrifice, meaning the quality of work we do for that customer is sacrificed because of speed, then you might as well not even roll up to the yard and do it, in my opinion. It is a must that the quality must be there. That's why I spend tens and tens and tens of thousands of dollars on the absolute best equipment I can buy, so that my guys can do a lot of yards in one day and maintain a super high level of quality that I expect. So you got that nice plush yard. We're gonna go out there and plug that joker with the stinger, drop the seed as we go, burn the road up to the next one. You know, of course, we're gonna put the fertilizer out and all that too, but we're not gonna talk about any of that. So next scenario, let's say we get to a irrigated yard and it's surrounded by trees, got trees around the outer edge, and the fescue is a little bit thin, so you got some bare dirt. And the further away you get from the trees, the thicker and thicker the turf gets, because you know photosynthesis is a real thing, contrary to popular belief. And tall fescue doesn't do real good in shade, okay, it just don't. So it looks great during the spring because there's no leaves on the trees. It does good during the winter because it's a young new plant, ain't had time to die. And number 3 is when the the leaves get on the trees, the shade comes and thins that out, okay? It is what it is. So in that case, the technician, we've got an irrigated yard, all that's kind of semi-soft, softened up the plug. The technician is going to make a decision when he rolls up. We always, 100% of the time, put our fertilizer out first. The reason we do that is so when we're putting that fertilizer out, we're analyzing the yard the entire time, so that when the fertilizer's done, that technician gets back to the truck, he already knows if he's going to plug or aerovate. Okay, he's going to know which one he's going to do. He's going to know if he uses both machines. He's going to know if he puts the seed down first and aerovates, or if he plugs it and drops the seed. He's going to know all that. That's why we do it that way. So let's say we get to that yard and he decides, well, I'm going to plug all of the good areas. Okay, meaning you've got this kind of circle-ish area that all that's nice and thick, and just on the outer edge of it is going to be you know, the shady spots with a little bit of bare dirt showing, that kind of thing. So he plugs all the good yard, dropping the seed down at the same time. Then he'll take his spreader, put a little bit of seed in the spreader, and spread the seed over that outer bandwidth, okay, where the shady type area is at. Then he'll jump on the aerovator and aerovate the snot out of that, okay, depending on the condition of the ground. Meaning, if it's dry, he may have to go over that twice with the aerovator to really break it up. If it's a little bit moist, typically you can make one pass with an aerovator and it will jiggle it up and fluff it up and make it just so nice. And man, the seed bed is incredible, an aerovator creates. Nice and fluffy, and kind of the tires, I've seen a comment about the tires running over and causing compaction. Really? I mean, anything you do in a yard causes compaction. When it rains, it's compacting the ground to a certain extent. So that's just a bunch of baloney, in my opinion. The tires are actually going to cover the grass seed up with the dirt and create good seed to soil contact. And once it rains on it, that grass just goes, boop, pops right up through all that. So I just don't go for that compaction nonsense. I just, you know, I may be wrong. If I am, I am, but I just don't go for it. If it wouldn't for the fact that every single thing you do in a yard causes compaction to some extent, you walk on it, your dog walks on it, you drive your lawnmower across it when you're mowing grass, you have parties out in your yard and you got 50 people standing, every single bit of that causes compaction. So do you honestly think a tire from a machine like this is going to cause more compaction than what you do to that yard all year long? I just don't go for it, sorry. All right, so let's go to the next yard. Let's say we roll up to a yard and it's non-irrigated and it's a nice thick yard, okay? Let's say that they've done some hand watering and they've kept that turf looking pretty good. We'll say it's an 8 out of a 10 or something like that. Well, it depends on a couple of things as to what machine we're gonna use. One, how dry is it outside? When was the last time we got rain? How soft is this yard? How hard is this yard? Okay, if the yard is anything up to the point of where we can't get a minimum 2-inch plug, minimum, anything from rock hard up to a 2-inch plug, it's going to get an aerator, hands down. Okay, we're going to spread the grass seed first, aerate the entire yard, jiggle that seed right down into the ground where it needs to be. When we get up to that point of where we can pull a 2-inch up to a 4-inch plug, then, you know, it's just going to be the technician's decision. Is one better than the other? I don't know. Both of them get great germination if you water the grass seed. Okay, the key to all that is the customer going to water, or we're going to get enough rain so that the seed can germinate. Yeah, the seed bed prep makes a lot of difference, but if you're on that borderline where you can pull a good 2-inch plug, and are you going to pick the aerator or the core aerator, the plugger? I mean, my opinion, it don't make a hill of beans difference. Okay, as long as you work the machine as it's intended to be worked, and you put enough holes in the ground, or you go over it enough times with the aerator to work the seed down in the ground, it don't make a difference one way or the other. Okay, we get results both ways. I cannot honestly tell you one way is better than the other. Now let's get into some of these other yards where I can tell you one way is better than the other. That is when you get in yards where you can't pull that, 2-inch. And I know some of you guys up north probably don't deal with this because you guys got that black dirt. Well, we have rock hard red clay here. And when it gets dry and hard, you can't hardly take a hammer and chisel and break it. I have been in a yard that is so incredibly hard that I put the stinger on, what does it go up to? 600 PSI, I think. And it lifts the entire machine off the ground. And you try to go, and it's just like, doom, 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 doom. It will not pull a plug. And that's the weight of a 200 and, how much do I weigh? I think I weigh about 230 now, something like that. That's the weight of a 230-pound man on a machine, the weight of the machine, the metal it's made of, 4 wheels and tires, the engine, and it still will only scratch the top of the ground. Okay? That's hard clay. That's what I call rock hard clay. So you get in that situation, it's a no-brainer. It's an aerator 100% of the time. All the time, 100% of the time. And even when you get in that kind of rock hard ground, you can't just take the machine and whoop, ride over it one time and expect a good job, because as those things are jiggling, the head unit's jiggling back and forth, it's just going to kind of barely scratch a little bit when you get in that hard a ground. Now, if you go forward, backwards, and let the machine work, or you as the operator work the machine, that's the difference between somebody that rides one of these things and somebody that operates them. Is somebody that rides them don't know how to use it, and the operator does. When you operate the machine and you visually inspect the ground as you're kind of going back and forth, and you're watching that hard pan clay turn into a dust, okay? A loose, I don't want to call it dust. I guess it depends on how dry it is. But we'll just call it loose ground. Turns into a loose ground where you can pick the ground up with your hands and dump it out, and it just kind of feathers out. That's turning into dust almost, okay? That is a ultra soft, super fantastic seed bed that you cannot, will not, never will achieve with a plugger, ever. I don't care what you tell me. I've been doing this long enough. You cannot turn red clay into dust, into a powder like flour, like baking flour when you make a biscuit. You can't do that with a plugger. You can do that with an aerator if you operate the machine correctly and go over the ground enough times. It's almost like rototilling it, almost. So let's say we roll up to a yard. We have this a lot here. Front yard is irrigated, backyard's not. You know, the contractor, for whatever reason, cheaped out and didn't put irrigation in the backyard. Backyard's shot, it's just nasty and hard. Front yard's nice and lush and thick and green. You know, to save time, we might aerate the whole yard. That way you don't have to get off one machine and get on the other. But typically, if it's soft enough, our guys will just run over it with a plugger. Drop the grass seed as we're going, then get the spreader, spread the seed over the backyard, and then take the aeravator and work it in the ground. Can't really think of any other specific circumstances to where we'd use one or the other. I think you get the gist. If you don't, then you got a learning problem or something, because you need to understand. Maybe I'm getting a little. Okay, I apologize. I think I'm getting a little too straightforward on this. I just read a lot of comments, and some of them were just really stupid, and I'm just trying to speak common sense to you right here. If the ground's rock hard up to the point to maybe a 2-inch plug or so, where you could get a 2-inch plug, it's aeravator. Okay, if the ground is soft enough where you can get 2 to 4-inch plug-ish, it's a plugger. It's really cut and dried, really simple like that. Now, back to that compaction issue. Okay, let's say you roll up to a irrigated yard, okay, that's nice and moist, and you use an aeravator on it. There's not going to be any fracturing of the soil going on. What you're going to do is you're going to waddle out a hole, is what you're going to do. And believe me, it will waddle out a perfectly nice, clean hole about that big. That is, in fact, creating compaction, because you're pushing the dirt outward, and then, you know, the head unit beside it is pushing the dirt inward. So you're sandwiching the dirt tighter, and a tighter soil means a more compacted soil. So in an irrigated setting where the grass is nice and you know, lush and thick, and you want to aerate it, don't use the aeravator, because you're just creating big old fat holes in the ground, but not removing the core. Remember, the aeravator is a solid tine, so as it's going back and forth, it's just kind of waddling out that hole right there and compacting the edges of it. So we don't do that. That's when we would core plug and whoop, pop a piece of the earth out of the ground. All right, so I think that's about all the scenarios I can possibly come up with. I can't really think of any more, but anyway, you get the drift. So now let's talk about the specific difference between the Grasshopper aeravator and the Ventrac aeravator. So the number one difference, and this is hands down my favorite difference about it. Let's crank this right here. Let's put a little down pressure on that bad boy. Look at how high the tire is off the ground. You see that? Look at how high the tire is off the ground. That's a good solid 6 inches off the ground right there. Look at the machine. Look at all the downforce you're able to put on the head unit. Now, I do want to say this. I'm going to make myself absolutely clear. Look, let me drop this down. There we go. I want to make this absolutely clear. This doesn't have a direct hookup to the PTO. Okay, the PTO's over there, runs off a pulley over here. There's a belt connecting the two. If you put so much downforce on it, the belt will slip. Okay, and the aeravator head unit will just stop working, and you'll burn the belt up. Okay, we only, in rare occasions, use the downforce option. That's if we get in something super, super rock hard, like one area, maybe, you know, beside a stump or something like that. An area that runs along the side of a road. You know, just pick the location, but an area that gets super, super, super hard, and we need a little bit more than just the weight of the machine can do. We'll kind of bump that pressure and put a little bit of down pressure on it and crack it open like a nut. It is absolutely amazing. But I do want to make this ultra clear. Do not run the thing with down pressure nonstop, because you'll burn that belt up, probably may even burn your PTO up. You run it in the float position. That means the attachment goes with the contour of the ground. Okay, second favorite thing about the Ventrac AERA VATOR setup is your ability to go pretty much anywhere. Okay, when you're talking about climbing hills, up and down hills, side hill slopes, going down in bottoms, hollows, something like that, this thing dominates the Grasshopper, hands down. It's not even remotely close. It's not even a fair fight. It's like me trying to fight Mike Tyson in his prime. I would get my tail whipped every single time in a matter of seconds. It wouldn't last long. So if you put these two in a fight on a hillside, the Ventrac is going to beat the piss out of the Grasshopper every single time with the quickness. And that's without the dual kit. If you put the dual wheel kit on here, I mean, it's just, you can't even, it'd be unfair to try to compare the two. That's the difference in them. Number three thing about the Ventrac that I prefer over the Grasshopper is the ability to use multiple attachments. So you got one machine, you can do whatever the heck you want to besides aeravating. They have a core plugger, they got a spiker, they got a broom, a blower, mowers, reel mower, trencher. My goodness, go to the website and look at all the stuff they got. It's absolutely nuts what you can do with this thing. The favorite thing about the Grasshopper as compared to the Ventrac, my number one favorite thing about this, it's kind of a twofold deal, is the size. I can get in smaller locations with this, and the ability to zero turn. Okay, so you can pick the head unit. Matter of fact, let's see how the head unit picks up right here so I can show you. Crank it, and see this little button right here? You mash that button. See how it locks in place? This is the transportation mode. See how it picks it up off the ground? And when you want to drop it down, you mash this button and you just take your foot and push this little thing right here. Watch. And it drops back down. Now, let me stay focused where I'm at. The zero turn capability is this. So you can pick the head unit up, spin around on a dime, and as you're turning around, kind of slide over just a little bit and go. Whereas the Ventrac articulates in the middle. It's a longer machine. It just takes a little bit more space to turn it around in. Now back to the hillside capabilities. I run the, what do you call those things? Tweel. It's the Tweel. It's like the run flat tire. And of course, Grasshopper offers a tire with, you know, a more aggressive tread. We just went with these because I wanted them. The tractor type tire tread, for me, we tried it, seems to wear out prematurely, and they'll dig up in the yard pretty bad. But what I'm getting at is, if you had those on this machine, it would hold a hill a lot better. But you got to remember, this is a lot of weight out here. So when you get on a side hill slope, that thing wants to nosedive. This thing wants to go down the hill a little bit. Whereas the Ventrac, you can be on a side hill and you can hold it and go up, down, left, right, sideways, whatever you want to do. So that's my one thing about the Grasshopper that I prefer over the Ventrac. That's the only thing, is the ability to zero turn. Like I said, this thing, you can put down pressure. Oh, the seed box. You have an option to put a seed box on the Ventrac. See right there? Nice little seed box. And it runs electronically off this little motor right here. On the SDLA, you just click that little switch right there when you want to start dropping seed. So you can drop seed and aeravate on a steep slope, in a flat yard, wherever at the same time. Whereas you can't put a seed box on this one. If we're not dropping seed at the same time, and You know, whether or not I drop the seed at the same time or I don't, that just depends on how I feel that day. If I'm on a steep slope and I don't want to risk putting a spreader on a really steep slope, I'll just drop the seed at the same time. If I'm in a yard where I don't need to be really, really delicate on putting grass seed out, meaning if there's a chance I might throw some in the beds and stuff like that, and it's tighter areas, I'll use the seed box because it drops the seed straight down. I can really micromanage that. I don't know, it's just hard to answer that question, okay? You would think I'd put the seed down with this thing every single time, but I don't, because there are some yards that, you know, I just want to spread the grass seed out to get a perfectly even spread on it. Whereas with this, you know, if I slide over a half a foot too far, then there's a strip right there that don't get grass seed. But if I put it out with a spreader, that's just not going to happen. Okay, I'll put that with a spreader and aerate it in. So that's just kind of a hard question to answer, whether I drop the seed with this every single time or spread it and then just aerate it. Yeah, hard question to answer. This does add extra weight, so you get better penetration if the ground is hard. This does not have any extra weight on it. Now, see these little holes right here? They do make a weight kit for it. I've got 4 of these Grasshopper AERA Vators, and I have 4 weight kits for it. There's a reason they're not on there, and there's a reason they'll never go on there ever again. The lifting mechanism. Okay, I don't think I can show it to you in here. All right, there it is right there. It's going to be very, very difficult for you to see. There's like a hydraulic cylinder right there, kind of right behind my finger. And that, along with these 2 little arms right here, is what actually lifts it up. There's 1 hydraulic cylinder on each side. They are, how do I say this? I'm gonna try to be as respectful as I can. They're poorly designed, okay? Because that hydraulic cylinder at the end has this little round piece welded onto it that kind of, you know, you run a bolt through. Well, when you put too much weight on it, that little round piece isn't strong enough and it pulls apart and breaks. Ask me how I know, because we've broken several of them until we figured out, don't put the weight kit on there because it's too much weight for it. So that's why we don't have the weight kit on it, and that's why we'll never run the weight kit ever again. Could be operator error, but you know, regardless, the weight kits aren't going back on here. All right, you might be able to see it right here a little bit better. There's a little pin right up in there that connects to that hydraulic cylinder right there, and that's the part that breaks. The little hole in the cylinder that this pin slides through, it is pulled apart and just absolutely drove me nuts, because we kept breaking them. We took the weights off, ain't broke one since. All right, so platform. I prefer the 4520N hands down. That's the fuel injected gas motor. It's got the most horsepower. It's got the best response. If I didn't have a Ventrac over there and didn't have another one in the shop that were different, I would probably, if I didn't already have them and they were paid for, and I don't want to go through the trouble of selling them and replacing them. When I wear them out and I replace them, they will get replaced with the 4520N, which is the fuel injected version. Hands down my favorite. Grasshopper, I'll go in and warn you, do not buy the Grasshopper with a gasoline motor and put this wide aeravator on it and expect it to work fantastically, because it will not. The gas motor is severely underpowered to operate this wide of an aeravator unit. Now, here's a good thing about the Grasshopper is they make a 40-inch wide. This one is the 6 foot wide, I believe, 5 or 6 foot. They make a 40-inch wide one, which is a smaller, more narrow one that gets in, you know, small gates and stuff like that. The gas-powered motor handles that one amazingly. It's fine, but it's this big head unit. You don't want the gasoline motor. Ours are the 900D, the 1.3 liter diesel, max torque diesel. And you talking about power. That thing has got some freaking power. It's absolutely nuts how it works, this head unit. It absolutely turns it. It turns it with zero issues whatsoever. And we have been extremely pleased with the diesel, what I say it was, 900D. The 900D coupled with this aerator unit. This is the only thing we run the grasshoppers with. I don't even own a mower deck for my grasshoppers. We use them one time a year. I bought 4 of them at one time. I bought them once, and we use them one time a year. They'll last me the rest of my career, and when I sell them, they'll still be in pretty dang good shape. That way I can still get some good money back out of it. So I really can't think of any of the, oh, I know a good one to talk about. I know a real good one to talk about. Let's talk about price, okay? So I sent a text to my buddies. Where's that text message at? Right there, Todd and Corey. Todd is my grasshopper dealer at Country Gardens down in Roxborough, North Carolina. I think he's about an hour and 15 minutes, something away. I have no idea if that's the closest grasshopper dealer to me, but I like Todd a lot, so that's why I spend my money with him when I buy grasshopper stuff. These are, I sent him a text and said, hey, I'm doing a video on comparison between the two. I want your basic retail price. If somebody walked in the door off the street and said, hey, I want a 900 diesel with the aerator head unit like Pete's got, okay? The basic tractor with no wheels, okay? This is just the basic tractor with regular tires, 60-inch aerator. The list price is $32,805. Depending on financing, average person would pay around $29,524 plus tax. So now, don't go to your dealer and say, hey, this guy on YouTube said you can get it for this much. You go to your dealer and you ask your dealer what they'll sell it to you for, okay? I'm just getting ballpark numbers here so you have a good idea how to compare them. All right, and here's the Ventrac. So where were we at with the other one? Let me lock that in right there. Say 30 grand. Okay, we'll just call that 30 grand for the grasshopper with aerator. And then the Ventrac, you're going to pay for Kubota 4520N. This is a basic tractor with enough hookups to run the aerator. Okay, so that would mean the 12 volt setup to go to the front, because you got to have the 12 volt to turn the seed box on and off. Now, if you didn't have the seed box, you wouldn't need the 12 volts. It may be a pinch cheaper than this, but the tractor alone, and let me quote him so I don't. This is full retail price. The tractor alone is going to be $35,385. Okay, then the 12 volt for the front, $405. The aerator itself, $8,300. The optional roller kit, ooh boy, I left that out, and that's a big deal. Let me tell you about the roller kit in a second. The optional roller kit's $365, which is a must. And the optional cedar kit is $3,500. So you're looking at $47,999, $48,000 versus $30,000. So that's your difference in price, $48,30. Okay, that's 18 grand. You can almost buy 2 of those over there for one of these costs. Okay, but you have to figure out what you're going to do with the machine. Okay, if you live in an area like the mountains in North Carolina, the beautiful mountains in North Carolina, man, it's so cool to go up there. And you have nothing but hillsides. You'd probably be dumb to buy the grasshopper, okay? Even if you wanted to save 18 grand, because you're gonna fight that machine on those hills and hollows up there nonstop. Whereas the Ventrac, you crawl up and down them like Spider-Man. It's just nothing to it. If you're flat ground and you only want an aeravator, strictly nothing but an aeravator, you'd probably be crazy to spend $18,000 more when you can get one tractor, the Grasshopper, and keep that 18 grand in your pocket. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I can't tell you how to spend your money. It's none of my business how you spend your money, but that's something you have to weigh out. Do you want a machine that has the capabilities that you could add attachments and mow the grass and use the leaf blower and dig trenches and put in irrigation and do stump grinding and push snow and it'll do everything but wipe your butt, okay? Do you want the opportunity to be able to do all that for $18,000 more? Is it worth that to you versus spending $18,000 less and just having, well, you get a mower deck and you can get a snow blower for those. You see, what all does Grasshopper have? They got a push blade, like a scrape blade for snow. We've got one of them. We got a snow blower for the Grasshopper, and then no mower decks, and the aeravator. I think that's it. Don't hold me to that, but I think that's it. They have 4 different attachments. Maybe, do they have a bush hog for it? I don't know. I know Ventrac does, but I don't know if Grasshopper does not. But you get what I'm saying, okay? If you want the machine that has the capabilities or the options to do abundantly, exceedingly more, then Ventrac's obviously going to be the way to go, okay? Because you just have that ability. Where if you don't, and you strictly want maybe just to mow your yard and aeravate it once a year, then of course the Grasshopper might be the way to go. Oh my word, I cannot believe I forgot about the roller. And this is hands down one of my most favorite things about this. So let's go over here and let's look at this one first. See the aeravator unit? Nothing but the aeravator tines hit the ground. That's it. Nothing behind it, nothing in front of it. Just the weight of the machine pushes that down. You come over here and look here. Look at this roller right here. Let's see if I can turn it. Look at there. See that roller? It goes all the way across the length of the head unit. So this does 2 things. One, it allows you to set the depth. Let's say you want to go super deep. You got this depth adjustment right here, that where you can make it go super deep, or if you just want to barely scratch the ground, for whatever reason, you have that ability to set the depth of the head unit up front. All right. My favorite thing about it is, oh, and by the way, in case you're wondering, I set the depth pretty much as deep as it can go. You can see it right there. It's on the last notch. But my favorite thing about the roller is the way it leaves the ground once you aeravate. So the roller is fantabulous in dry ground, okay? What happens to clay when it gets wet and sticky, and you know, you can kind of compress it and make a little ball and throw it or something? What happens to clay when it gets in that condition and it comes in contact with metal? It sticks to it, right? So we just got through with like a semi-hurricane. We kind of got through the outer bands of it, and I think we got maybe a couple inches of rain out of it. So the ground's pretty good and moist right now. So that's why you've seen me with the Grasshopper. That's why I've not been using the Ventrac, is because of that roller, okay? Yes, you can take the roller off, but I'm not going to go through the trouble of taking it off every time I go do a job. It's just pointless. I got 2 aeravators. I just pick one. When that roller is rolling across that loose dirt that just got busted up, and you got your seed on the ground, that clay tends to build up on that roller as that roller is rolling, and it tends to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And what's going to be in the clay is the grass seed that you just put on the ground, okay? That's just no good to me. I mean, it just doesn't make any common sense to pick up the clay and the seed that you just put on the ground and ride down the street to the next house with it. It doesn't make sense. So that's why when it's too wet or the ground has got too much moisture in it, if it's too wet, we're just not going to be aerating seed, and we're going to let it dry out a little bit first. Okay, we're not trying to make a mess in somebody's yard. But when the ground gets right and it's a little bit moist or too moist to where the clay begins to stick to the roller, the Ventrac stays at the shop 100% of the time. The roller is a negative thing in that situation. Where the roller is a positive, and where I like it's when that ground's dry. And you work that seed bed back and forth a few times and you really bust it up. And now you're kind of going forward and you're aerating, and you've gotten the ground broken up hard enough to where the roller comes in contact with the ground. So now you've got this heavy implement on the front, breaking up the ground, mixing the seed down into the dirt where it belongs. And then you've got this roller that rolls right behind it. You're kind of doing two things at one time. It's kind of like the one on my tractor, 3-point, has a roller built into the machine. So you're aerating, mixing seed in the ground, and then you're rolling it. No different than if I aerated and then took a cultipacker or a drum roller or something like that and rolled the yard. It's absolutely no different. This you just be able to do it in one pass. Okay, you go right over the yard, and it leaves the surface butter. It's flattened out. You can, in some cases, in some nitpick cases, you can actually do a little bit of grade work with this. Okay, meaning if I get in a yard and it's got like this little hump or something, I will pulverize it, and it humps bare dirt. Okay, it's got to be bare dirt. You can't do this with grass on it. But if that humps bare dirt, I will pulverize it going back and forth and put a touch of down pressure on it and use the roller to kind of really cut the hump off and spread that little bit of a hump out. And then you've almost kind of graded a little bit with an aerator, and it makes that area even flatter so that when the guy mowing the grass goes over that hump, it doesn't scalp it and it keeps on killing the grass because it's scalped down that high. You know what I'm saying? Ask me how I know. That's a real thing. It's happened. So the roller is absolutely amazing on that. Of course, with the Grasshopper, you can't get a roller. There is no option for a roller. You might get stick one on the back and drag it while you're going, but you're talking about cumbersome. That'd be ultra cumbersome and makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. Okay, so I think I've went over everything in as much detail as I can possibly go over. I can't really think of anything else. I honestly can't. Can't think of nothing else. I think I've went through everything. So I made a post on social media today and asked for some specific questions. So let's go through these specific questions. Learned alone, said never used an aerator. I'd love to be able to use one eventually. I bet new construction it would be very useful. The fact that it doesn't disturb the surface and bringing up course. Yeah, you're right. It is very useful. Patriot Lawn and Landscaping 914. I would like to know the benefits of this versus core aerating, and maybe even the benefits and disadvantages of hook aerating. Have no clue what hook aerating is. Absolutely no idea. Never heard of it. But I think I've went through the benefits of core aerating versus aeration. That was like in the first of the video. Both of them create space in the ground, one way or the other. Okay, both of them relieve compaction one way or the other. The thing is, typically the ground goes right back to being compacted. Okay, that's why you do this periodically. So, yeah, is one better than the other? Like I said earlier, I think it depends on the condition of the dirt, wet or dry. B-Rad for real said, come on, I'll let you aerate my lawn every week you like. Let's do an experiment and see if over aerating will do harm to things. Well, if you live close, we might do that. But I'm a busy dude, so I probably can't. John Blevins 2248 said, LOL, this really isn't that important. And I actually commented to him and said, maybe it's not to you, but for somebody getting ready to drop 30 grand, it probably is. And, you know, anytime I'm getting ready to drop 30 grand on something, well, what did we say? 30 grand and 48. Is that what we said? I think. If I'm gonna spend that kind of money, you dang right it's important to me. Mr. John right here might be a multi-gazillionaire, but your boy right here ain't. I'm gonna do my homework and learn and understand something before I go spend that kind of money. All right, made a post on Instagram. That kind of kicks it over to Facebook for me. Let's go to Facebook. Brad Robillard. Thanks, Pete. Yes, price difference, maneuverability difference. Your preference between the two. Brad, I think I've already answered that, sir. Brad Kastner said, I would be willing to bet that price is a big one. You dang right it is, boy. This stuff ain't no joke, I'm telling you. Now, on the price, I'm fortunate because the 4 Grasshopper diesels that we own, I bought them a couple of years before COVID, maybe, something like that. That Ventrac over there, I bought well before COVID. And then this Ventrac right here, I bought before COVID. And the other one in the shop, that one belongs to Ventrac. That ain't even mine. That's one no, actually, this is the one that belongs to Ventrac. Mine's in the shop that I bought before COVID. This one belongs to Ventrac. I'm just putting a bunch of hours on it because they're going to do some testing on something on that tractor. But I bought all my stuff before COVID, before these ridiculous price hikes. So I didn't pay anywhere remotely close to 30 grand for mine. I think mine was like more like 20 grand a piece. That was with the Aerovator. Okay, so yeah, I'll agree with you. The price is a big one. What brand is the red one? It is a Ventrac, sir. Roberto Cruz said, thank you, sir. You are welcome, Roberto. So let's go over to Instagram. I really thought there was going to be more questions in this, but it's not. I've had 2. This is Instagram. Turf Man, Manasu. I've had 2 Aerovators on Ventracs. Love them. Had 1 seed box. Don't have an experience with the Grasshopper version. Also had a pull behind unit from First. He's on that First Products. That's a very good one too. Yeah. Okay. So the option without the seed box is you just get the head unit. Take the seed box off, and if you still want weight, Ventrac makes these little weight kits that you could slide across there and still get the weight, so you don't have to have the seed box. The seed box to add weight. Ben Stitzel said, this is what I wanted. Yeah, boy. JT McKella II. If you're adding a layer of topsoil before overseeding or doing a renovation, is it best to use the Aerovator or Ventrac before applying the topsoil or afterwards? Okay, so if I've got a clay yard, it's bare dirt, and I want to bring in say 1 inch, 2 inches of topsoil and put over the whole thing. Okay, do you bust up that clay under the topsoil and then put the topsoil on it? Do you work the topsoil into the clay? This is my opinion. This is the way I would do it. If I had a rototiller, if I owned a rototiller, I would just put the inch of topsoil over top of the clay and rototill it in 3 inches deep. Just kind of mix that topsoil in with the top couple of inches of the clay, and then go back and level it out, smooth it out, put your seed down, press it in. You really don't have to aerovate because you just rototilled the thing, so it's good and loose. So put your seed down and then cultipacket, roller, whatever, to press the seed in the ground. If I didn't have a cultipacker and I had a Ventrac Aerovator, I would probably aerovate the clay first and really break it up good. Then I'd put the topsoil on top of that, and then spread the topsoil out, get it good and even over the surface. Then I'd probably go over with the Aerovator again, try to blend the two together a little bit. I don't know if it goes quite deep enough to do that, but it might not. I don't know. But either way, the point of that is, I honestly don't think it matters. if you can blend the topsoil in with the clay, blend it in and put your seed down, press it in and go and start watering. JC783 Grasshoppers only uses the attachment's weight to push down into the ground, whereas the Ventrac uses the hydraulic to push the tines further in the ground. Boom! Yes! That is hands down my favorite thing. Because, man, I'm telling you, when I get in some rock hard stuff, I'm talking about like asphalt type hard, I bust that stuff up and laugh at it the whole time. I just laugh at it because it's like no competition. Whereas, now I want to clarify a thing. I want to clarify something right here. Okay, listen. I can do the same thing with the Grasshopper. Okay, that rock hard ground, I can do the exact same thing, but it takes me 4 times the amount of time to do it. Because you have to go forward, backward, forward, backward. I even have the head unit in the ground jiggling and kind of work the hydraulics on the machine and go left, right, left, right, left, right. So the head unit's kind of going back and forth and kind of digging and kind of moving ground at the same time to try and get it to dig. I know you boys up north like, man, what in the world kind of ground y'all got there, man? This clay can be a beast, I'm telling you. Y'all got that good black stuff up there, and it's a piece of cake compared to what we got. But the point is, I can do the same thing with the Grasshopper. It just takes considerably longer to get the same end result. Whereas the downforce on the Ventrac, dude, you can press that thing down and bust it up and keep on going. Truck Tractors Fishing said, GCI, how do you decide to use the aerator on the yard or just with your stinger? Okay. And then Gabriel D. Floyd, I second this question. Okay, I went over that in the first of the video, so you probably already watched it. How does a core aerator compare to overseeding? How does a core aerator compare to overseeding to the aerators? Equipment Parts said that. I think if you've watched the video, the whole length, you've probably gotten the gist of it. Okay. Both of them, depending on the conditions of the dirt, wet or dry. Let's use the word moist, because people will comment say, you shouldn't be aerating when it's wet. No joke, Sherlock, okay? We're not there to tear up a yard. We're there to improve the yard. So let's call it moist dirt and dry dirt, okay? Just for clarification. So both of them are going to work fantastic. The key is how the operator uses the machine. Okay, you can have a Ventrac aerator all day, but if you run across a yard wide open on it and don't even give the head unit time to do what it's designed to do, your job's going to be piss anyway. You see what I'm saying? If you have a core aerator and you're not coring it deep enough, you're only taking a 1/2-inch core, you're not really doing anything right there. So that's kind of a loaded question, because it really, really, really depends on the person operating the machine and how they're using it in the conditions of the yard that they're working in, whether it be wet or dry. Moist or dry, my bad, moist. All right, so let's hop over here on a couple of these questions I saw previously, and these are the ones that I like right here. Yeah, this one right here's got 70 comments on it. I think it would be more efficient if you run it on the back, because you immediately run over the loose soil. You immediately run over loose soil. Okay, Cole Spinner said that. Yes, okay, and no. Yes and no. What he is referring to is the one on the tractor that you drag behind the tractor. So the last thing that comes in contact with the ground is the aerator head unit. Well, if you don't have the roller, then that would be true. If you have the roller on the aerator on the tractor, the 3-point option, then it's going to press the loose ground right back down anyway. And I don't know that I guess I've probably seen the aerator without the roller on it for the 3-point option. And you kind of bust the ground up. And what he's thinking, is you got this loose ground that don't have tire tracks or anything in it. Oh, it's so pretty to have it like that. Then you go out there and spread the grass seed. But guess what? You just ran over the loose ground with the tires on your spreader. Or if you're walking, pushing it, guess what? You just walked on it. It's no freaking difference if you do it that way or if you do it this way. You put the seed down, you aeravate, and then the tires run over top of the grass seed. It ain't a freaking lick of difference. Okay, you can scream at to me until you're blue in the face, and I will disagree with you 1,000,000% of the time, because I've got 15 years experience of doing this, doing it the way that I'm showing you, telling you, and the yards look amazing. Okay, whether or not they got a touch more compaction in them or not, who gives a rat's tail? The yard looks amazing. Okay, that's at the end of the day, that's what we're going after, right? We're trying to provide a good looking yard, and whether or not that 2 little tires running over some loose dirt makes a difference or not, I could care less. Okay, I could really care less. Bobby Hudson said those tines vibrate. Yes, sir, they do. David Dearson said, I bought my Grasshopper 725K with a mowing deck and aeravator in 2005. Still use it today for aerating overseeding. Great machine. Could not agree with you more. The Grasshopper is an amazing machine. I don't know about the mower decks because I don't own one, but the aeravator, mint. Is this as good as plug core aeration, says Josh Wright. We've already went over that. Just depends on the circumstance. Brad Rollivard, Robilars, those things look like they have the same tires as my kids' Power Wheels. Cool machines nonetheless. Yeah, the wheels there, those run flat twill is what they call it. They out there, but they cool looking. They cool. Nothing like, okay, now these are the ones that people, well, I don't know. Let's see if we do the math. No, he actually might be right. Nothing like 140,000 rolling by when a customer wants to ask why you charge that much. Well, that part is true, Ethan Clayton. You got that right. You have to price accordingly to the equipment, how much you pay for it. But not $140,000. Well, he's talking about the video with the 4 aeravators going side by side, 20 a piece, that'd be 80 grand. So about half of what you suggested, but that's what I paid for them. 30 times 4 is 120, so you're still a little bit short, but you know what I'm saying. Sprinkler system gone, says Colton Ray. Well, Colton Ray, professional lawn care companies like the one that I own will typically flag the irrigation heads before core aeration or aerovation, either one of them. Because you are right. If we hit one of those heads with that bad boy right there, it's going to blitz it. I'm telling you, it's gone. That's why you flag it and you pay attention. Matter of fact, we have our customers flag everything. Irrigation valve boxes, anything, the little meter thing that's in the ground that holds the water meter. If it's in the ground, you better put a flag on it so we don't hit it. You'd think that'd be common sense, but I reckon it ain't. Okay, here's my favorite comment that I read from a Miss Sherry Shannon Ferguson Burkle. You're just smashing your cores, leaving the dried dirt pucks behind. Respectfully, ma'am, they're not pucks. I don't even know what you're talking about. I actually got a good chuckle out of that because I thought that was funny. You're calling the cores a puck. I think that's what you're talking about. So let's answer it like this. So the cores come from core aeration. Okay, the aeravators do not produce a core. We've talked about that. She's watching the video and she's watching the aeravator do this, and little pieces of dirt kind of flying off of the tines from the violentness. I don't even know if that's a word. From the head unit being so violent and jiggling in the ground, she's watching the little bit of dirt fly up. I think that's what she's calling a core. So respectfully, ma'am, that is incorrect. And to answer your next one, you're just smashing cores. No, we're not just smashing cores. When you do core aerate and you're using an actual core aerator, The cores are left on the ground, and again, we've talked about that. Shortcut grass, depends on what you're trying to do, you might remove them. Fescue, anywhere from 3 to 4 inches or shorter. I just leave the cores. They're going to get smashed by your lawnmower when you mow them, when you walk on them. When it rains, the cores are going to melt and disintegrate and go back in the ground. What you're looking at in this video, I'm going to put this video up right over here so you can see. You can see grass seed on the ground already, on untouched virgin ground. This is a rye overseed at my buddy's house over here. Remember the big field that we're trying to grow in all that Bermuda? Well, it's a really getting close. He just decided to do the whole field area in ryegrass to, limit erosion. Maybe he wants to look at it. Maybe he wants something to mow in the winter. I don't know why he wants it, but he wants it done, so that's why we're doing it. But you can see in this video right here, the ryegrass seed is on the ground. The aeravator, you can see it rolling and vibrating at the same time. It's kind of jiggling and working that grass seed down into the ground. No more than about a 1/2 inch-ish or so at the absolute max. And what you don't see in this video is we actually aerated this field twice because the ground was a touch moist, but not moist enough to where it waddled out a hole. The ground was actually breaking up. I call that premium ground. The ground's just right for an aeravator without the roller. I want to make sure it's just a touch too wet for the Ventrac or my tractor, because the roller would pick up that clay, well, I think it's a little bit of topsoil out there, but whatever it is, it would pick it up and mess up my seed job because it picks the seed up with it. I ain't like that. So we took the Ventrac, the grasshoppers out there, and we had to go over it twice. Made a double pass, premium seed bed, absolute mint premium seed bed. So I hope that answers your question, ma'am. How much that setup costs? We already talked about that, Richie. Twills or a flex on their own. Yeah, you're right. The Twills are not cheap. They're proud of them. Michael Fallon said, a little late in the fall. Do you think the seed will have time to grow in? Absolutely. Today is the first day of October when I'm filming this video. We put that ryegrass down 2 days ago, I believe. Gracious amount of time left for that. We're actually still seeding fescue yards for the next 2 weeks. More than enough time where I live in North Carolina. Roberto Cruz, which one is the better, Ventrac AERA or the Grasshopper? I think we've went over that. There isn't a better one. Okay, I want to make that clear. There isn't a better one. There's a one that I prefer, but that's based on how I do things. You may prefer the Grasshopper and call it the better one based on how you do things. So I just don't go for the better one. That's a lot of grasshoppers. God is good. When you're faithful to the Lord with your money, your life, your marriage, the way you treat people, when you're faithful to Jesus, he will return favor. And that is why you see the business I have, is because humbly, I have tried my best to serve the Lord Jesus with all my heart, soul, and mind, with all of it. And he has blessed me tremendously. Not just blessed me financially with being able to buy everything you see here. Every single piece of equipment you ever see on my channel is paid for 100% full. Every work truck, that brand new one right there is paid for. That brand new one sitting over there is paid for. Everything's paid for, all to the glory of King Jesus, because he has blessed me beyond anything I could ever imagine. And you, if you decide to live your life for Jesus and put him first in everything, including your money, people tend to leave that part out, boy, I'm telling you. Including your money, if God has control of your financial situation, I firmly believe that he will show you favor in return. He may not bless you with 100 different pieces of equipment, okay? He's got a different plan for different people, okay? But I firmly believe that if you're faithful to him, he will be faithful to you back. So, yes, Jeremy Allen, that is a lot of grasshoppers. To God be the glory. Troy Rovelo said, you must love aeravators. They look like wonderful machines. They sure are. Brian Britton said, talk about efficiency. So yeah, this is the video with the 4 grasshoppers. Now, this yard is 1 minute down the street from the shop. We actually took the grasshoppers, rode them down the highway. Not highway, but you know, the road, the state road, and drove them over there. And the reason I did that is because I was trying to get, that was a 40,000 square foot rye overseed job. And I wanted to knock it out with the quickness because I was in a rush. The guys were here at the shop. They weren't doing nothing because everything was a little too wet, except, you know, that open field dried up pretty fast. And I didn't want to take the tractor with the roller. I didn't want to take the Ventrac with the roller because the clay sticks to the roller, blah, blah, blah. So I said, boys, jump on the grasshoppers and meet me over there at his house. And let's knock that joker out with the quickness. I put all the seed out right quick. The guys run over it. And I was like, this would be a pretty cool video. So I videoed all 4 of them. So we typically wouldn't do that. I mean, I wouldn't send 4 aeravators to one job. But in this very unique circumstance with the houses just through those woods right over there, that's the only reason we did that. But you're right, 4 of them's much faster than 1. I agree. Okay, I think this is the last little bit of questions I've seen. Dad, Pa, professional, trustworthy, knowledgeable. Thank you very much, sir. Always such a great video. Jason Pratt, I'm generally curious. I would think and help me understand this doesn't add, just compact the soil more. No, it doesn't compact the soil more. It just don't. We've kind of went over the compaction thing. The ground's going to go back to being compacted regardless. Okay, you can't aeravate or core aerate, plug an area, and it's just permanently decompacted. Compaction will always exist. It will always be there to some extent. When you aeravate or plug, core aeration, you're temporarily relieving that compaction for a period of time. Okay, so I mean, I've seen yards that hard as a rock, can't hardly get a stitch of grass to grow in it. Aeravate the snot out of them, just pulverize them, seed them, get the water going, get the grass established. And then the root system of that turf helps to keep the ground opened up. And that once rock hard piece of clay now becomes a really pretty yard that's nowhere remotely close to as compacted as it was before. Okay, so compaction is just always going to be there, you know, to some extent. You temporarily relieve it when you aerate or aeravate, core plug, whatever. All right, I think that's it. I think that's all the questions. This video is probably pretty long. I hope you appreciate the time I've spent going over all this. And I have really, if I missed something, Lord have mercy. I can't believe I missed it, because I feel like I went over every single last little minute detail that you could possibly think of. But I'm sure somebody smarter than me will come up with a question and say, you didn't say this. So anyway, put that in the comments if you got a question I didn't happen to cover, and I'll answer that. But for the most part, you get it. Okay, you after all this talk and going over all that, you should better understand the difference between core aeration, plugging, and aeravation, aeravator. Okay, you should hands down know the difference. If you don't, you just can't comprehend English, I reckon. You should also know, in my opinion, when I would pick a core aerator or plugger over a aeravator or vice versa. Shouldn't be any questions at all about that. So anyway, hope you've enjoyed the video. I'm hungry. I'm going to eat. Check you later.